Fun and fancy fold cards are among the coolest projects to make. Add in a secret or a hidden closing and you've got a winner. And after I did the first secret lock card and I got so many comments, I was totally inspired and I came up with another idea. So today I have this super cool buckle up secret lock card. And it's really fun, it's easy, and I'm going to show you all the details and how to make it step by step. So let's get to it. I have an A4 size paper on my scoreboard and I'm going to score at 4 and again at 8. And then I'm going to cut the paper at 9.5 because I'm going to make a slimline card. Then I'm going to fold and burnish my score lines. I like to fold my cardstock both ways so it gets a little bit more flexible and it folds really nice, open and close. And I burnish with a card creaser. And I burnish really well to get nice crisp folds. And I also make sure to check that it's lined up straight because this is the moment where you can adjust if needed. And I'm going to use the cutter to measure the 1.5 inch from the second score line and then I cut it off there. To decorate my panels, I'm going to use vintage Artistry papers from 49 and Market. And before you start cutting up your papers, you have to decide which color you want to show the most or which pattern you want to show the most. Because on the front of the card there's going to be an extra panel, so that will be the one that is most visible. And these are the pieces I cut from just one sheet. So I have 3 panels for my card and I have some leftover pieces. I also need another panel for the front. Now if you're really frugal you can cut out the piece that is hidden behind that panel and you can just cut it slightly smaller than the panel is. I'm going to use another piece of that same paper to decorate my smaller panel. And I'm going to check which part I like best for that second panel. So I cut that panel as well. And now I need another 2-inch strip. And this is the strip that I cut off from the A4 size sheet in the beginning. I also cut a piece of pattern paper to decorate that strip as well. And I need a circle that's the same size or slightly bigger than my cardstock strip. And here are some leftover pieces that you can use to decorate or use it on another project. Next I'm going to use the side of my scissors to distress the edges of the paper. I really like the effect it gives. It gives it a bit of a grungy, more roughed up look, making the paper less smooth, which I think adds to the interest of the card. You don't have to do this, I like the effect, so I'm doing this for all the panels. And this paper is really sturdy, so it can handle roughing up those edges really well. And if you rip the paper a bit, you can tear it away or you can leave it in place, that's all up to you. And when I distressed all the edges, I'm going to add some glue to the back of my panels and add them in place. I like using glue for this because it's a really fast way to get your panels in place. You can also use tape or anything else you like to adhere your panels to your card. I also like the fact that the pattern continues with those panels on my card, which is not really important, but it already looks really cool. So I'm done with the first part and now I'm going to decorate the panel that goes on top. I'm going to use the washi tape that's also in the Vintage Artistry collection kit or pack. And I'm going to add a few pieces on my panel. I use one complete strip and I also add a piece of washi tape. And I rub it on that distressed edge on both sides so it shapes around the paper instead of rubbing it flat on. Or rubbing the paper flat. So this way it creates a little bit more interest. And I thought it looked cool instead of just taping it flat. And at the bottom of that panel I'm adding a small part in the same way, rubbing it over that distressed edge and folding it around the card. So the pattern continues on the cardstock. And next I'm going to use my glue gun, so I turned that on already. And I'm going to lay out the first pieces on my card. I'm going to use some ephemera bits to decorate my card panel that are also in that collection pack, and the details of these cutouts are so amazing. It's a nice sturdy paper and there's hardly any white visible, which makes it so super cool because those are the parts that I always want to cut away, so this is going to save me a lot of time. So I'm going to layer all my pieces like I always do, and then I'm going to use some glue for the first parts that are flat on my card. And also parts with some really intricate details are a bit harder to add with a glue gun, so I'm using glue for my flower bouquet as well. And because it's a really sturdy paper, I want the rest of the part a little bit raised, and that's so easy and fast to do with a glue gun, because you add some glue to the back and then you just press it down as much as you need to for the layers to be added level with the rest of the card. And this will give you some really cool dimension and layers, but not too bulky. And this is such an interesting way to add some more layers and details to the front of a card, but also to decorate an inside or your journal pages, scrapbook pages, and any other project that you can think of. The next thing I need is a piece of foam. I have a 1-inch piece. I've added some tape to the back and the front. I added to the back of the panel at the top and at the bottom, and I cut off the excess bit that is sticking out. And then I have another part done. Now make sure to grab your own copy of the Buckle Up Secret Lock card guide. I have added it in the treasure trunk where you can find it along with all the other cool freebies. It will guide you through how to make this card as well as some other size cards, including this really cool big one that can be a mini album, or it can be a journal, or it can be a card, and you can adjust it any way you want to. Next I'm going to work on the closing system. I have some tape to the back of my strip and I have a ruler to measure about the middle of my card. And I'm going to add that strip to the side. And it's a bit less than 1 inch that it's hanging over the edge. And this part will be hidden by the top panel, so you only need a little part on this side to make sure that you still have enough length on the other side of the card. Then I'm going to fold it around my card and I'm going to burnish, so I get a nice crisp fold. And once I am on the other side, I'm going to fold it around that too. Then I'm going to burnish next to the card and I'm going to tilt my card and I'm going to burnish again, so I get 2 lines next to each other. I use my ruler to fold it again, and I burnish some more, so I get some nice crisp folds. And I also burnish on the sides, so I get a nice flat edge. And besides the crisp folds, this will also give you some space inside the card if you want to add some more layers. And best is, if you want to add those layers, to add them before you custom make your sort of belly band, so it fits perfectly. Next I'm going to work on my closing system, and to make it easier I'm going to mark the strip at 3/4 of an inch, which is 1.8 centimeters. And then I'm going to use my ruler to bend it around that ruler again, and then I'm going to fold it and burnish again. So it folds really well. This is very important, that is going to be really flexible. So I'm going to fold and burnish on both sides again. Next I'm going to add my pattern paper. I've added some tape to the back of the pattern paper, and I'm going to do the same as the first steps with the strip. I'm going to add it on the strip on the left side, and then I'm going to fold it around to the back and make sure to line it up straight. And once I have it straight, I peel away that backing piece. Then I turn my card over and I have some tape to the middle part of the strip, and then I'm going to line up the strip, making sure it's straight in the middle of the card, and I press it down. Then I'm going to add the rest of the pattern paper. I fold the strip around my card again and add it to that first small part. Then I fold the complete piece back and I fold my flap again, folding the pattern paper around it again, so the pattern paper fits on my folded strip. So it will be flexible and it's easy to bend, because this is part of the closing system and you need to be able to bend it properly. So with my pattern paper piece attached, I'm going to cut off the excess bit that is sticking out. And burnishing once more, because I'm going to burnish all the score lines with the pattern paper attached as well. And now it's time to add that circle. I'm going to add some glue to the left side of the strip and also on 1/2 of the outside of the circle. And then I'm going to add my circle on top of that strip, lining it up with the side of the card, just slightly away from the side, so it's within the outside of the card and not hanging over the edge. And once I have that in place, I'm going to cut off the cardstock that is around the circle. So I'm going to use my circle as a guide to cut around it. And now it's time to test the closing system. So I'm going to add my panel in place, so it's about in the middle of the card, and I'm going to hold it on the top and the bottom, and I can squeeze my circle under, and this makes a really cool closing. And because the closing system is working, we can finally add that panel in place. So I'm holding the circle in place, I've peeled away the backing pieces of the tape, and now I'm going to add my panel on top. I just let it hover over my card, and then I let it land carefully, and I check if it's straight, and if it's straight I press it down. And there you go, the secret closing card is done, with a really cool pocket inside if you need to add anything more. You can decorate some more if you like, or leave it as is. And I think this makes one really cool buckle up secret lock card. And I've made another slimline card, and for this one I've added a mini pocket inside with some space for a gift card that can fit inside that pocket, which is another cool idea. Then I have a card that's kind of a weird size, and for this one I didn't tape that flap, I just left it open. You can play with it any way you want to, and this makes another fun card to play around with. And then I have a really big one. For this one I used two A4 size cards. One I folded in half and I cut off a strip. On the other one I folded two strips, a big one and a small one. I attached the two big strips together, so I have a big pocket in the middle where you can add a card. And to the back I taped that strip as well, and I've added some cards there as well. So this is a cool one to make as a mini album, as a journal, junk journal, or to add in a scrapbook album, or just make it as a part of a scrapbook page. Because this buckle up secret lock system will work on many projects and you can adjust it any way you want it. Just make sure to make your insides first and then just make your buckle up system around it so it fits perfectly. Now I hope you are inspired to buckle it up yourself. If you're interested to see some other secret locks and you haven't seen them, I've added a playlist over here, about here. And as always, make sure to keep on crafting.